Hi there, welcome back to another video, and it's time to get back to work on this one-of-a-kind rice car. Hold up, what the hell is a rice car? Ah yes, so for those of you not familiar with the term, let me put it on record once and for all so that we can all understand what this channel is all about. And after all, it is right there in the channel name. So the term rice originally started off as an insult towards Japanese cars in the USA, with plenty of body kit and tiny little engines. Basically, a ricer is a car that's all show and no go. Sleeper, on the other hand, is a car that has high performance and an unassuming exterior. Plenty of videos on the M104 Turbo swap on the channel if you guys want to go check that out, but today's video is all about this absolute unit. This is my 2003 pre-facelift C200 compressor, which over the last couple of months I took from looking like this to what we have in front of us today. I did a full interior delete because race car and weight reduction, and then I pulled the engine out of this Ford Falcon that now looks like this. One day is one day, I'll find the time to get back to work on that. But yes, I'm trying to find the happy medium between being a ricer and actually building some badass cars. Always trying to improve my fabricating skills and learning as we go, so that one day we can build some actual race cars. And then also feel free to comment down below anything you might see that I might miss. As I said, I'm learning as I go, mostly winging it, but I usually figure it out. And I'm taking you guys along for the ride. Now that we are all on the same page with this whole situation, it's time to get back to work on the twin supercharger setup for the 4-liter inline 6 Intec engine. So previously I got those two superchargers mounted on the engine. I also got the intercooler mounted and figured out most of the boost pipes. Now the next step is going to be cutting up the stock intake because we don't have enough space for it with these two puppies in there. So in today's video I'll be cutting up this intake manifold and building a new one to fit in this area. Once I do that, it's time to fire this thing up for the very first time. Enjoy the video. Got the flange cleaned up and on the engine, along with the fuel rail and then the throttle body in its location I want it to be. And we already ran into our first issue. I never really looked at this with the fuel rail on there, so now when I put this 38mm tube in this little area where it needs to come through the new runners, it's tight and it might be a bit too tight. Also, when you look at it from the side, cylinder 1 and 6, that little bracket of the fuel rail as well as that little bracket are in the way of the runner route I wanted to go with. So those two cylinders are gonna have to change direction and kind of come inwards towards the throttle body. Might have to finesse this tube with a hammer once we get there because it is pushing up on this fuel rail at the moment. There's no way I'm moving those superchargers, so I'm just gonna have to make this work. I might have a secret weapon to make this a little bit easier. The way I'm gonna change the direction of the runners is with pie cut. That cut-off saw can cut aluminium, but yeah, it does leave a lot of cleanup work. So I am gonna try something I probably shouldn't try, but I got this wood cutting disc and I'm really curious to see how this is gonna do on some aluminium cuts. Up to 28 times longer life than a conventional steel blade. Wonder where it's from. Aluminium is way softer than steel, so I'm hoping this will leave us with a nice clean cut. Less time spent on that means less time cleaning everything up and getting everything to line up. Let's give it a try. Now, because this blade is a bit thinner than the steel cutting blade, the way it mounts onto the shaft wasn't going to work without adding a spacer. Once I did that, this thing cuts way better than I ever expected it to. It does still leave some cleanup work, but significantly less than with the steel blade. I should have done this a long time ago. Definitely a new life hack learned. I honestly thought this was going to be way more sketchy, but it cuts through it like butter. So I went ahead and got 10 pie cuts cut out so that we have enough pieces to figure out these new runners for cylinder 1 and 6. Of course, I had to clean them up a bit and then give them a final wipe down with some acetone, as well as wiping down the welding rods I'll be using. Again, especially with aluminium, your parts need to be clean. With that, it was time to get the first pie cut tack welded on cylinder 1 and 6. I got the fuel rail back on there so that I know which way these runners need to go. I got 3 pie cuts on each cylinder and it was time to test fit it on the car. And what do you know, I got it spot on. So cylinder 1 seems to be perfect, not hitting anything. Cylinder 6 I'm not too worried about, we have plenty of space back there. Luckily the other 4 runners are going to be straightforward and easy to do, but I did want to get these 2 cylinders welded up fully. Just makes it easier to get all the way around with the welding torch. Got those fully welded up and then I could add the 4 middle runners. And then of course get them fully welded up. This thing is looking so good.
Tomorrow.
My plan for the next day was to go get some supplies to continue with this intake manifold, mainly so that we can get started on the collector. However, I completely forgot that it's the Christmas season and most places are closed because of it. What I'm going to have to do is look around the workshop for pieces so that we can continue on this. Unfortunately, I don't have any more aluminium, but I do have this piece of mild steel sheet. The only thing is I'm going to have to figure out how to go from aluminium to steel, because obviously you can't weld aluminium to steel. So I got the same size 38mm steel tube, and then luckily I also had these silicone hoses that are the same size. Now I did something very similar on the intake manifold for the M104 Turbo and I haven't had any issues with it. Also, if all this doesn't work out and the supercharger idea fails, this way it'll be easy to modify the intake manifold again. As we know, I built 3 different intake manifolds for the M104 Turbo until I was happy with it. So there's a small chance that I might want to change this one up in the future as well. So I got 6 pieces of silicone hose along with the 6 pieces of 20mm sections of steel tube, and then the silicone hose will slide over the aluminium as well as the steel, and then from the steel we just need to build a flange so that I can weld it up from the inside and get it airtight. Don't want any vacuum or in this case boost leaks. Now just to mark out exactly where each runner hole needs to be, then using a hole saw make the 6 holes for each of the runners. I use the air tool to get the holes to exactly the right size. For the 38mm tube to slide into, have minimal gaps so that we can get some proper welds on there. Again, this thing needs to be airtight. Now to save a bit on welding, I thought I would bend this first piece, but I accidentally bent it the wrong way, so I'm gonna have to cut it anyway and just get everything welded. Also, the bending would have made it a bit stronger because this is very thin. I'm gonna do a lot of welding on it. It is going to want to move around, so I just need to keep that in mind. Oh wow, so I don't know how many of you know this, but every single week I cut it super close getting these videos out. That is because the editing takes about 2 days for one of these videos. But this week I changed up a few settings and I want you guys to let me know if you notice any drop in video quality. I am filming this in a lower quality, but it does make editing much easier and much faster. Less time spent editing means more time I can actually get stuff done. So I'm really hoping there's not too much of a difference in the video. But anyway, back to the task at hand. I did end up making a bit more progress on this main collector piece, but today is Saturday. This video needs to go out by tomorrow morning 7 AM. So that's about as far as I'm gonna get for this week. Like I said, it is the Christmas holiday, so getting stuff is turning out to be a bit more difficult, but we'll get there eventually. So everything is just taking a bit more time, but we'll get there. This is looking very good so far. I just had it on the car to get the thumbnail for the video, and it's looking freaking awesome. So in the next video, we'll continue on the main collector. And like I said, if I finish this up, I really want to try to start that thing up for the very first time. Like I said before, still not sure this whole supercharger idea is the best idea or that it's even gonna work, but really gonna give it a try. I'm confident I'll get it to work and make some boost. And then another thing is lately I've been having the attention span of a goldfish. So another thing I wanted to do was to clean up the paving. So as we know, my cars have been leaking oil on the driveway now since we moved into this place. So I finally wanted to clean that up this week. So I used a blowtorch and got rid of all the oil spots. Really happy I could finally do that, clean up the place, have it looking good again. But yeah, like I said, that's gonna be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!